Welcome back to your time, 6:55. Here's a look now at our top stories. A gunman killed 3 and injured 3 others at the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino in Reno. An investigation ongoing right now. It happened in the Valet area Monday morning about 7:30. Police have not released the name of the shooter, but they do not believe there's a connection between the gunman and the victims. And today, Sacramento City leaders will decide on whether or not unhoused people can sleep in front of City Hall. In the past, people have been welcome to sleep there. The new restrictions aim to maintain a productive working environment for city employees and save some money. First day of school, Lodi is bringing some changes. A 7th period of classes have been added to some high schools. A new cell phone policy calls for all students' phones to be put away through the whole day, even at lunchtime. All right, check this story out. It was the song of last summer, Chapel Roan's Hot to Go, still going strong, but in 2025, one 10-year-old from Cincinnati is giving it a tasty twist. Harvey Hoops, better known online as Hot Dog Harv, gone viral with a hot dog themed parody of the hit song. What started as a school talent show act is now landing him performances at baseball games and shout-outs from Nathan's famous hot dogs. You see hot dogs a lot at Halloween, the hot dog outfit. And then somebody will go along with a friend who's mustard and ketchup and hamburger, you know, the drill on that. But you never know when something's going to hit viral, right?
I think just a rule of thumb is always have a hot dog costume ready to go in the closet just in case you need to join him as he's performing for the Savannah Bananas. That kid's gone big time.
Yeah, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
You know, of a cult following. Okay, be sure to join us following this newscast. We're switching over. Rob is putting on his ABC10 outfit, the ABC10 Plus. We'll continue to bring you the latest news along with weather and traffic updates from 7 to 8 a.m. So please join us over there as we continue whatever it is we've been doing, hopefully successfully, from 5 to 7. We'll do it on the Plus. Conditions out there, Rob?
The good news is that since we're going to keep going on the streaming channel, we've got one more shot to get it right.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful sunrise. You can see the lake. The lake's at 62% full, I believe, at this point. So, yeah, evaporation, water use, you name it, but still plenty to recreate on this fine Tuesday.
ABC 10 Morning News at 7 starts now.
Thank you for joining us over here on ABC 10 Plus. I'm Walt Gray, joined by meteorologist Rob Carlmark, back in the saddle again. Rob, it's good to have you here. I mean, obviously, a lot of people have been talking about how it's been heating up. First, though, I know we both got haircuts yesterday, right?
Yes.
So I found one, if you remember The Incredibles, that is who I think you look like. That's Syndrome. Wow. That's Syndrome. So that cut is just like your cut today. A little tight on the sides, and you still got a lot of stuff going up top. I'm envious, right? So this is why I'm bringing all this up, right? You got it going on.
Oh, if I could count the times I've been portrayed as a cartoon character on the early morning news, that would be one.
That'd be one, yeah.
But that's not a bad one. It is what it is, right?
You got beautiful stuff going on behind you. It's just a gorgeous morning.
This is a good classic start to the day, haircut aside, and we've got temperatures that are on the way up, but you know what? It's summer, so maybe you've got something going on. Maybe the kids want to go swimming. Maybe you want to go boating. Maybe you want just some heat, right, in the afternoon. Well, it's going to happen regardless of what people want, and I just want to point out one thing in the background that I think is much more noticeable once you start moving into late July and August, and that's the sunrise and the sunset combined. A later sunrise and an earlier sunset adds up to almost 2 minutes per day that we're losing of daylight. So that's significant because you stretch it out to a week and then another week, and then you really start to notice it. So we're now up to 38 minutes of lost daylight since the summer solstice on June 20th. A little bit earlier. Okay, we're into a warm and sunny forecast. Tomorrow, we're going to have one more day of widespread 80s. It's going to be upper 80s, but it's 80s, and it's definitely going to be below average, and then we're going back to the 90s for the weekend. I have some concerns about next week. I definitely think we're going mid-90s, but there's a real chance we can go upper 90s and maybe even more than that, because that's the one part in the forecast that's undergoing a lot of changes day to day. But right now, it's dry and warm. We're in the 60s. We're going to have a classic strong Delta breeze. You know, the A's are in town, so these are the things that all of a sudden when you're planning and you're looking at the high temperature on your app, or maybe you just see the 10-day that we talk about or the 7-day, that's just a moment of time. Once you go past that, we're going to be cooling down quickly because of that Delta breeze. So here's an example. 90s, okay, that's warm. Closer to sunset, 80s, and then this goes to, if you can just imagine it keep going, we're going to be in the 70s by around 10 o'clock at night. So it is a rapid cool down from the highs that you see here. 97 Marysville, Yuba City, 97 Roseville. If you're outside of that Delta breeze area, you cook a little bit longer and you really start to see the numbers go up once you go well north of Sacramento. Redding, Red Bluff, 100-degree potential later today. So getting back closer to home, we've got the one-day dip down into the 80s, and then we're going to be looking at solid 90s, which is normal temperatures, if not a little bit below, through the weekend. And like I mentioned, next week we do start to see a pretty noticeable rise in the temperatures, and we'll show you the 10-day later on. Okay, traffic-wise, this is your bottleneck here. We've got construction, we've got a bunch of roads all trying to get across the Yolo bypass and then go into out toward Davis. So there's a big congestion issue there, which is just baked in the cake. So there's nothing new there, but it's already starting to back up. We've got this crash here near Austin Road. There's construction there. They're replacing an overpass, but there is a crash with a bit of a backup that's more than normal out all the way towards Salida. So watch for that toward 120. Tracy, volume traffic has been slow all morning long, over 1 hour at the moment. If you're going from Sacramento to San Francisco on 80, we've got the Davis backup and just other stuff along the way. Now it's up to 110 minutes. Back to you.
Okay, Rob, thanks for covering all that today. It is 7:04 on this Tuesday morning, continuing coverage. Reno. Dozens of families, many from our region, impacted by that mass shooting at a popular casino. Investigators still trying to figure out what led up to all of this. Went down yesterday morning about 7:30. We covered it live. ABC 10's Candace Red is here with the very latest. Candace?
Walt, as you know, an investigation is ongoing this morning after a shooting at a casino in Reno. A gunman killed 3 people. 3 others were hurt. Well, this all happened yesterday morning in the valet area of the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. Police say the suspect walked into the parking lot, pulled out a gun, and started shooting. Police say the suspect shot 5 people at the valet stand and another person driving in the parking lot at random.
Once at valet, the suspect produced a handgun and pointed it at a group of victims. The suspect's firearm malfunctioned. However, he was able to make it operable.
The bravery and rapid response by our officers stopped the suspect's rampage on innocent victims, which definitely saved lives and prevented additional people from being victimized.
There was incredible, swift action that took place, and it apprehended this individual from going into the building. That is really, really remarkable. I want to say thank you so much.
Police say the suspect's gun jammed at first, but he had multiple magazines. He ran through the parking lot and exchanged gunfire with a security guard. Police say they found the suspect within minutes, and officers opened fire, wounding the shooter. He's now at an area hospital in critical condition. Police have not released the name of the suspect at this time. Police say they do not believe that there is a connection between the gunman and the victims. The investigation is ongoing. Walt.
All right, Candace, thank you for getting all that together this morning. We're going to now go to the deadly shooting in Manhattan, downtown, midtown Manhattan. Heavily armed police responding to an office tower in the heart of New York City after officials say a man carrying a high-powered rifle entered a building that includes the offices of the NFL and the finance giant Blackstone. ABC's Will Reeve with more.
This morning, new details from the deadly shooting in Midtown Manhattan. At least 4 people killed in a Park Avenue office building, including a New York City police officer.
We're getting multiple calls from 345 Park Avenue.
Officials responding to 911 calls just before 6:30 Monday evening. Officers here rushing into 345 Park Avenue. The suspect walking alone into the building holding an M4 assault rifle, wearing body armor. Police say he entered the lobby and began spraying bullets, hitting a police officer, another man, a security guard, and a woman who took cover behind a pillar.
The 33rd floor is not secure. We have multiple people shot.
The suspect taking the elevator to the 33rd floor, where he again opened fire, killing a woman there before barricading himself inside. Authorities saying the suspect died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest.
We just heard noises and then we all just were in a closet, really. It felt like forever.
The 44-story office building under lockdown. Tenants include the major investment firm Blackstone, professional services firm KPMG, and the NFL. Local authorities say the suspect, 27-year-old Shane Tamura, traveled cross-country in a black BMW from his home in Las Vegas over the weekend, arriving in New York City just hours before the attack. Officials recovering this high-powered M4 assault rifle covered in blood.
His motives are still under investigation, and we are working to understand why he targeted this particular location.
At least 5 people were shot, 4 fatally. The lone survivor in critical condition this morning. Now the city remembering the victims, including that 36-year-old NYPD officer, Didarul Islam. He's survived by his pregnant wife and 2 children.
In a note to employees of the NFL, one of the high-profile tenants at 345 Park Avenue, Commissioner Roger Goodell, sharing that one league employee was seriously injured in the attack and that he is in the hospital in stable condition. Goodell also writing that employees in New York should work from home, at least for today, adding, quote, "We will get through this together." Will Reeve, ABC News, New York.
Also today marks 4 weeks since an Esparto fireworks facility exploded, killing 7 people at the time. 2 of the victims, brothers Jesus and Johnny Ramos, were laid to rest yesterday in a service in Daly City. Investigators have yet to say what exactly led to this explosion. The Yolo County Board of Supervisors is calling for the State Attorney General's office to get involved. Using illegal fireworks is going to cost some Modesto residents. City Council member Chris Ritchie says there was a 44% increase in illegal fireworks, and citations totaled more than $180,000 this year. He says police were able to track the offenders with a plane monitoring what was happening on the ground. 81 citations have been mailed out. Happening today, Sacramento City leaders set to decide on whether or not unhoused people can sleep in front of City Hall. The policy, as currently written, would stop people from sitting or sleeping in front and around City Hall. Over the years, it's become a very popular place for shelter downtown. The city says the new restrictions aim to maintain a productive working environment for city employees. Live look this morning, Lodi High School. Students are going to be filing into class very shortly for their first day of a new school year. And as the new school year does get underway, there are plenty of new rules that students and parents are all going to have to know fully about. And here's a look at some of the changes. The district says they've been hiring staff over the summer. They've added 7th period of classes to 3 of their high schools, which are Lodi, Tokay, and Bear Creek. The biggest change for students, though, is the district's new cell phone policy, calling on students to, quote, be present.
We know it's a challenge for our young people with ready access to smartphones. And we know that for our students to socially learn and interact in a positive way, not having the distractions of smartphones is going to be important.
The policy calls for all student phones to be put away throughout the day, even at lunch. It applies to all schools in the district. All right, in Stockton, teachers getting energized before the opening of school. This was a kickoff event for 5,000 teachers and staff yesterday. Classes begin for Stockton Unified Thursday. This event featured keynote addresses and a visit from the Stockton Kings mascot. All this at the Adventist Health Arena.
This year we're talking about excellence and innovation, so I'm really excited to just continue to do things that no one is doing around the county. We're bringing in Latino Film Institute, we're bringing in other companies that are really going to help us to innovate and do some really great things for children.
All right, the school district is also implementing that no cell phone policy for their students. More than 35,000 Stockton Unified students will be heading back to class. Again, that is this Thursday. Still to come right here on ABC10 streaming, why more supermarkets are using digital ads that are able to change the price of items potentially several times per day. Mark S. Allen, good morning.
Good morning, hashtag we win, meaning she wins. You're looking at a 14-year-old MMA World Championship here in Citrus Heights. Coming up in a moment, how she did it, how they're going to do it, and how you can sponsor the next big winner. As ABC 10 Morning News continues, we will be right back.
Time now for dollars and cents, and costs for some of your medications could be headed up. President Trump's new trade deal with Europe sets tariffs on most imports from the EU at 15%, including pharmaceuticals. European countries make 60% of all pharmaceutical imports into the USA. The Federal Reserve's Open Market Committee begins its latest two-day meeting today. Despite pressure from the president to cut interest rates, the Fed is widely expected to hold rates steady. Stock markets may be looking to build on more than a week's worth of gains. The S&P closed up slightly, still good enough for another record high. The Nasdaq also hit a new high after closing up 1/3 of 1%. The Dow closed down 0.1%. And luxury brands still trying to figure out how new tariffs will hit their bottom lines. Brands like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, and Dior have relied on higher prices over the last few years to drive profits. But with tariffs going up, experts say luxury labels will have to be careful and not alienate younger or occasional shoppers.
The price of your groceries may soon change right in front of your eyes. A glimpse of what shoppers could soon see is already on display in Europe, where the Wall Street Journal found prices at some grocery stores can change up to 100 times per day. The technology behind it? Digital shelf labels, small electronic screens that can instantly display new prices at the push of a button, and they're being used more and more across the U.S. Walmart has installed digital tags in more than 400 locations, with plans to reach 2,300 stores by next year. Kroger and Whole Foods are expanding pilot programs as well. It's fueling fears of surge pricing.
Like charging more for ice cream when it's a hot day or for an umbrella when it's a rainy day.
Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bob Casey have sent a letter to Kroger warning the labels could be used to squeeze consumers to increase profits. But the company insists the labels won't be used for surge pricing. Companies say the tags help cut back on time-consuming labor. Walmart says it used to take 2 full days to update prices across the store. With digital tags, just minutes.
Sometimes a lot of these folks are only working 20, 25 hours a week. This is a heavy, labor-intensive job.
In a recent study, researchers found virtually no surge pricing after electronic labels were installed, finding the labels actually increase the likelihood of consumers getting discounts. But skepticism remains. Maine and Rhode Island have introduced bills to limit the use of digital labels. And in Arizona, a state lawmaker introduced a bill to ban digital tags entirely.
One expert says he expects the pricing changes will be infrequent or outside of store hours to avoid confusing or upsetting shoppers. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Let's take a look and see what's happening on Wall Street. The markets have been open for about 45 minutes or so and relatively flat. There's a lot going on tomorrow. The Fed's going to meet, make a decision on interest rate cuts. Everyone sort of holding off on anything big until that tomorrow. A federal judge says the Trump administration must continue reimbursing Planned Parenthood clinics for Medicaid funding expenses. It's a temporary win for the state's largest abortion provider that just permanently shut down 5 Northern California clinics because of a loss of federal funding. ABC10 contributor Monica Madden now with the latest on what this could mean for the state.
As Planned Parenthood faces funding cuts that are shuttering clinics nationwide,
this is devastating.
Healthcare providers say California's future as a reproductive rights haven is at risk.
I think it will be much more difficult for the accessibility, but we're seeing in so many states across the country where they are surrounded by states that have already passed similar abortion bans that people are already feeling the squeeze. People are dying.
With cuts from President Trump's big, beautiful bill, Planned Parenthood closed 35 health centers, including 5 in Northern California. The Trump administration has said the government should not fund organizations focused on, quote, political advocacy.
Planned Parenthood is not just an abortion provider, it's so much more.
Emergency room physicians say impacts will be more far-ranging.
People are going to realize that they have nowhere else to go except the emergency department. And that's where we come in. The emergency department safety net has already become so overburdened and strained with people waiting 12 hours in the emergency room.
This always affects the people who have the least because Medicaid funding, Medicare funding, that goes to people who are very, very poor.
California Planned Parenthood stands to lose $300 million in federal funds, depending on the outcomes of legal fights. And about 80% of Planned Parenthood California patients use Medicaid.
Reproductive health care covers more than just abortion. It covers contraception. It covers breast cancer screening. It covers care for endometriosis, PPD, all kinds of things.
Reproductive rights advocates like Christina Lee say providers must stay vigilant.
Whenever there are cuts, it's just so much more of a struggle to get funding back after they, decide to make do with the lesser amounts.
All right, Monica, thank you. Coming up, we'll have a live look at the top stories we're following to help get you out the door. Stay with us. This is an ABC10 Morning News Update. I'm Walt Gray. Today, Sacramento City leaders will decide whether or not unhoused people can sleep in front of City Hall. In the past, people have been welcome to sleep there. The new restrictions aim to maintain a productive working environment for city employees and save money. Charges have now been filed against a man accused of damaging a Border Patrol vehicle during a recent operation at a South Sacramento Home Depot. Manuel Castillo of Sacramento is expected to appear for a hearing. If convicted, he could face a maximum penalty, $100,000 and a year in prison. First day of school in Lodi, bringing changes with it. A 7th period of classes has been added to some high schools. A new cell phone policy calls for all students' phones to be put away throughout the whole school day, even at lunchtime. Much more news to come over on ABC 10 Plus Live.
All right, we are off and running into another great summer day here in Northern California. The temperatures at the moment, they're up compared to where we were yesterday in the 50s, so it's not quite as cool early this morning, but certainly mild, and you can do whatever you want with the weather we have at the moment. It is going to be warmer this afternoon. Highs moving into the mid-90s range, north of Sacramento, upper 90s. These are close to our averages, so it's not surprising, but it certainly is going to be a change from the abnormally cool weather we've had for weeks and weeks on end. We're going to get a classic Delta breeze to cool us down, which is going to be very helpful. So if you want to delay things to the evening, you're going to be in good shape. 80s arrive for one more day tomorrow, and then we're back to the low 90s for the rest of the week and this upcoming weekend, a little bit warmer going into next week. Okay, traffic-wise, there's just a lot of cars on the road getting from Sacramento out through West Sacramento, the Causeway, and then Davis, and we're experiencing a lot of bottleneck traffic there, as well as Tracy over to Livermore.
Thank you for joining us here on ABC 10 Plus. I'm Walt Gray. Businesses in South Sacramento say they're struggling with a drop in customers following a Border Patrol operation at a nearby Home Depot. We've covered that story extensively. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias has more on what's going on now.
Maria, the owner of Tortas Sinaloa, has sold her Mexican food in front of the Home Depot in South Sacramento for about 3 years. She says her business took a radical hit after the Border Patrol operation in the parking lot on July 18th.
Cuando pasó eso, pues todo el mundo se asustó.
Maria says when that happened, everyone got scared and everyone was in panic mode. And things got more complicated because sales were already going down. There's been about a 50% drop. Maria says the majority of her customers are workers who come to Home Depot looking for jobs. Those workers didn't want to speak on camera, but they tell us that out of all the people who used to show up here, only about 5% of them are still showing up.
Ya no hay sueño americano.
Maria says the American dream no longer exists. It has become the American nightmare. The president of the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce acknowledges the fear is very real among communities. But she says businesses are very much a part of the economic engine of our region and state.
And our main thing here is for our businesses to continue to support them. So I want them to let them know we're still open for you. We're here to provide the programming and services that we've always had for you.
They're also offering resources and keeping close track of their partners.
On our website, we've included information now for employers, if they are unsure what to do, if there is an immigration activity happening in their place, how to protect themselves, how to protect their employees.
Meanwhile, Maria says although some criminals are being arrested during these operations, she wants people to know that not all Latinos are criminals. And she wishes there was some type of amnesty for those who have a clean record and pay their taxes.
Imagínese para un negocio que...
Maria says, imagine what it's like for businesses like us that live day to day. Do I have to sell it or close it? In South Sacramento, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
In other news this morning, the California State Fair came to an end on Sunday. Very popular this year, and certainly the weather played a big factor in that. ABC 10 was there as they started to break the fair down yesterday. All the Butler amusements getting dismantled and shipped to the next big fair. And according to Cal Expo, the State Fair saw an increase of more than 8% this year, with more than 700,000 guests. The State Fair says this past Saturday was the largest single-day attendance. More than 90,000 people entered the grounds that day alone. Rob, we're always talking about State Fair weather, and we always hit 100 as soon as the State Fair opens. This year, they really got a gift.
Yeah, it really was. And the first day was the last time we had the triple digits. So it was a gift. Even if you weren't going to the fair, whatever you wanted to do, it was just amazing. The talk of town for weeks on end, but now we're getting back to the grind here. We've got clear skies. You can see some things are happening, that usually you can't do this time of year. We've got a controlled burn there. Maybe it's a slash pile, what have you, in El Dorado County, but you get the idea that this unusual weather has got to come to an end eventually, and we started to see it break down yesterday. We're in the 80s for such a long time. Then we hit 91 yesterday for Sacramento, and that was technically a below average day because we've decided for normal we're going to have it a degree above or below, so within a degree or so. It's kind of hard to hit your normals, to be honest with you, because you got to go within 3 degrees of what you're supposed to hit, which is 93 for this time of year. But at any rate, you add up what we've been through, and we are still on the list of the top 5 coolest Julys that we've seen going all the way back to 1990. And even though we're warming up over the next couple days, it's just been remarkable in so many ways. Now, what we're going to go through in the next few days is a little bit of up and down. Today is another up compared to yesterday. Still dry and warm for the most part for valley spots in the coastal range, but we're adding in more widespread potential for showers and thunderstorms. It's a bit of an uptick today and tonight. There's some potential for middle of the night stuff, but you're going to see even more potential for tomorrow. We're going to be watching also Bay Area clouds drift into the Delta over the next couple of evenings, so that's something that's going to be visually interesting. As just for one day though, because our Wednesday is our one-day break from this warming trend going down to the 80s, which is tomorrow, and then we're going back into the 90s for the rest of the week. Because yesterday was so warm in the low 90s, your early morning lows just have more ground to cover. So we're in the 60s to start things off and also into the 50s. Sun's been up for a little while, so obviously the temperatures are starting to shoot up. But this is the range that you're going to find yourself in later today. We're looking at highs in the mid 90s. Once you get north of Sacramento and away from the Delta breeze, you're going to start to see upper 90s just because it's nothing but heat and very little cool down relief from the ocean. And once you get to Redding and Red Bluff, we are looking at triple digit heat. But if you're back in town, you'll notice that we've got the Delta breeze kicking in between 4 and 5 where it's noticeable, and the temperatures just start to fall off a cliff there. Our records are always this time of year way above 100 degrees, and we're nowhere near that. In fact, I don't even think we're going to get to 100 until potentially later on into next week. So this is a long way off, but this range right here, this is the potential where I see us possibly even going past the numbers you see here. Remember, this is an average. So if you're in Roseville, if you're in Rockland, if you're in some of these other spots, you really are pushing 98, 99 or so later on into next week. We've got some volume traffic for Sacramento getting over the causeway. That's just something that happens a lot, but it's just really slow going. There's also construction and a lane split there that's been causing issues. So we all know about that. It's just very slow this morning. Stockton, you're in good shape. Modesto, you're in good shape. Tracy's just been slow all morning with the commuters and truck traffic. If you want to get over to Davis from Sacramento, it's better than what it was about 10 minutes ago, but certainly it's about now when a lot more cars hit the road. So watch for that commute time to possibly go down and adding more time early morning on 80 Sacramento to Davis. Walt?
Rob, thank you. 7:36 Tuesday morning, a sheriff's deputy at the right place at the right time helped save a Sacramento woman from being scammed out of thousands of dollars. Could happen to anybody. Lori Davey said she got a call from a number that appeared to be from the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department. There it is. The person on the other line told her she had a warrant out for her arrest, then proceeded to ask her for more personal information, even threatening her with jail time if she did not pay her bail.
Well, how much is this bail? And she goes, $5,600. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, that's a ton of money.
The woman went to the bank to take out the money. The caller then told her to pay the bail at an ATM inside a gas station. That's when a sergeant from the sheriff's department overheard the conversation and told her to stop. Deputy is reminding people that they will never call you if they have a warrant. Another lawsuit was filed yesterday by a state attorney general, Rob Bonta, this time over California's SNAP food stamp program. Bonta and 20 other attorneys general pushing back on the U.S. Department of Agriculture demand for states to share sensitive data on SNAP recipients. Applicants give their private information on the understanding their information will not be used for unrelated purposes. The USDA has suggested it could withhold funding if states don't comply.
The administration's taking a program meant to feed families and is turning it into a tool for fear. That's not just a broken promise, it's a betrayal.
Bonta says both federal and state law prohibit California from disclosing SNAP data unless necessary for the running of a program. Two major railroad companies a step closer to a major merger. They're going to meet halfway here, literally. Union Pacific announced details this morning to buy Norfolk Southern. The combined company would better integrate cross-country commercial rail lines. Currently, coast-to-coast rail shipments need to be handed off in the middle of the country. The deal would still need to be approved by regulators. And we're 3 months away from Halloween, but an invasion of tarantulas could be making its way to your neighborhood. Tens of thousands of young adult male tarantulas are crawling out of their hiding spots in California, Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, Texas, searching for a mate this fall. The arachnids are typically out from late evening to early dawn. One scientist says if you're lucky enough, you may see hordes of these hairy, baseball-sized spiders crossing the road. Also, if you're lucky enough, maybe you won't. A young boy from Cincinnati riding the crest of Chappell's hit song Hot to Go and creating some waves of his own. In doing so, he's making the summer of hot dog Harv. ABC's Danny New explains this.
If 2024 at the summer of Grammy winner Chappell Roan telling us she's hot to go, Then 2025 summer is taking us from craze to crave, thanks to the 10-year-old who goes by Hot Dog Harv.
I was like, they love this thing.
Since performing his parody of the Chaperone hit at his elementary school's talent show in Cincinnati, Harvey hopes his hot dog anthem has been picking up millions of views on social media. Inspired by his hero, Weird Al Yankovic, Harvey says he initially got the idea after hearing his sister play Hot to Go all the time. As his dad recalls,
him and his mom would listen to the song and he came up with words.
Soon professional sports teams started inviting Harvey to come perform. For example, the Cleveland Guardians happened to hold a hot dog mascot race at their home games. So, of course, they were legally bound to have Harvey come sing at Progressive Field. And when the world's most entertaining baseball team, the Savannah Bananas, came backflipping into Cincy, they knew which crooning coney to call. Harvey says he's next planning to parody Chaperone's mega hit Pink Pony Club with a reference to the signature hot dogs at Cincinnati's famed Skyline Chili.
Cheese Coney Club.
Yes, the Cheese Coney Club. I'm gonna keep on
Eating, probably.
eating at the Cheese Coney Club.
The Coney was, of course, popularized by Nathan's famous New York's Coney Island. And in fact, Nathan's official account commented on Harvey's video asking if they should make his anthem their new theme song. I, of course, vote yes, please. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Nathan's and Sabrett's, that's some premium stuff right there. All right, still to come on ABC 10 streaming, Marcus Allen is MMAing it today.
Bone-shattering, mount-pounding MMA action. Look at these fighters at the height of their athletic prowess. Yeah, I'm eating a donut. Don't judge me. Back to them. In a moment, you're going to meet a world champion. Look at what happened in Dubai. This Citrus Heights 14-year-old took home the gold. MMA gold. We'll get to know her and the coach and the rest as ABC 10 Morning News continues. Thanks for watching on the ABC 10 Plus app. Hey, welcome back to ABC10 Morning News at 7. MMA World Champion right there. Let's go down the row. Everybody introduce yourselves.
My name is Alexis Mariscal, and I'm 14 years old and a 3-time world champion.
That's what I'm talking about. And
my name's Evelyn Mariscal, and I'm 11.
sister. And
my name's Elijah Furton, and I am 11 years old.
Awesome. Sparring partner. Congrats on that. And
my name's Elijah Dennis, and I'm 13 years old.
Got it. And you're her sparring partner. She's just come back with the gold. You kind of helped train up for that. Are you feeling some pride?
I feel good because I help with that. I kind of have a part in that, I feel like, and I help training.
You absolutely did. All right, so, you should be proud. 3-time champion. How did it feel this time around?
I mean, it felt so great to be able to travel out there and make all my hard work worth it and to just leave all I could out on the mat and try my best.
Awesome. Check it out. These belts, these are national champion belts. That gold medal down there, that's the big ticket. And as her coach, how proud are you of you, your gym, and all you've done?
I tell her every day that she's the best in the world, and she's proved it now 3 times. Super proud, and it's only a beginning for her and all the rest of these kids.
Awesome. He used to be a pro fighter, and what I love about that, a lot of coaches haven't been that, and they're going, yeah, do this, do that, put your heart, put your soul into it, and they don't know what it feels like to be punched in the face. You do.
Yeah, I definitely know what it feels like to go through the ups and downs, the highs and the lows, the wins, the losses, the weight cuts, the injuries and stuff, but I don't believe you have to have fought to be a coach. Sometimes just being a good facilitator and having the resources can get you there too, but it definitely helps the fighters relate to me having done it myself for a while.
There are few sports that I know of where diet is as key as it is in wrestling. Talk about the worst part about that. When you're a month away from fighting, talk about what is your diet like?
I mean, I don't usually cut a lot of weight for MMA. Usually a couple weeks before, I'll just kind of lean back on the candy, no soda, which, I mean, it isn't that hard, but definitely seeing your sisters or my family have cake or something, I'm like, but I'm missing out. But honestly, it makes it all worth it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she's been media trained because off camera, I heard her talking about fish and broccoli for like 90 days. Going, you're so tired of fish and broccoli.
My first year, I made weight at 115 pounds, and I kind of had a growth spurt, so I was up a little bit heavier than that, so I had to go on a diet of eating fish and broccoli 3 times a day with like a cup of blueberries as carbs for about a month or 2.
Yeah, well, and you may see, it's back to donut time. Those weren't my donuts I was eating earlier. Take a look at what happened in Dubai. It was just amazing. If you look at her Instagram, it's one post after another at the glory of it all. Just amazing work, and I think nothing more proud for America to see that American flag actually going over there. They're about to set up the spar. Talk about what they're doing right now. This is part of daily training.
Yeah, so right now they're doing some grappling. You start with your wrestling and work your way to the ground and kind of implement your jiu-jitsu once you're there.
Look at her little sister is fierce, I got to point out. And now she's fierce. What's going on there? She threw him up. That was amazing.
Yeah, they're all pretty good at what they do here, the boys, the girls, and everything. And, it takes a village to raise these champions. So every member of the team is just as important as the next. The parents, the kids, the other coaches and fighters, everybody really has a big part in our success here.
And your gym, the Thomas Fallon Gym, you have this impeccable record for safety. You really keep it safe and smart. And that's through the training and diet and the actual wrestling. You keep it safe, fair, and league appropriate.
Yeah, it's definitely a brutal sport, and there's a lot of injuries that happen, so we do our best to mitigate the injuries. You have to trust your training partners. You got to know when enough is enough. But you also have to be able to fight hard to prepare for a fight. So we walk that line of safety and preparation, and the main thing is we all care and love each other, so we do our best to keep each other safe.
Yeah, and I see it here. You have such a good mojo, such a good vibe here in this gym. Walt, I don't know about you, but I have mad respect for what I'm looking at. I don't know if you wrestled, you boxed. I did Golden Gloves when I was 14 years old.
Really?
Where you're talking about like a 10-pound bag on your hand before you're throwing punches.
Yeah.
What experience do you have, and is this impressing you like it's impressing me?
It's very impressive, the amount of time. I mean, I played college basketball, but that, there would occasionally be a scrum. But I would say this, safety, is the coach and competitors concerned about safety? MMA, generally, you got headgear on, don't you?
Yeah, we had lots of talks about that. Very concerned for safety. When they're training, not necessarily headgear, and each competitor knows that they're not in a headgear situation, so they tone it down in the training like we're seeing now.
Yeah, so for these kids specifically, when they do these world tournaments, they're not allowed to hit in the head until they're 18. So it's full MMA rules, just with no head strike. So as they develop, they're not taking any brain damage. However, they will do boxing matches and kickboxing fights and Muay Thai fights throughout the year, but we keep those to a minimal to where we let their brains develop properly and we're not, not turning them into mush. And then over time, you start to add more into the sport. But there's a lot to it.
Good to know.
Awesome. Thomas Fallon, Jim, you're a proud member of MMA Gold. And anything else we should know about what you do here?
We are a big family fight team, and we serve Citrus Heights in the greater area out here. Come check us out if you want to join the home of the MMA Gold fight team and Thomas Fallon's Mixed Martial Arts.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks for opening up. Thanks for sharing this with us. Hey, stop that wrestling. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Everybody in here is a winner, and right there is a world champ. I said, knock it off, you kids.
Knock it off.
Congratulations to you. An honor meeting you. I can't wait to see what you do next.
That's great.
Ouch. Back to you.
And they got there early for you this morning, Marcus Allen. All right, we do appreciate them too, as we appreciate you. All right, thank you all in Citrus Heights. A's returned to Sutter Health Park last night, riding high in a 4-game win streak. They did find themselves trailing Seattle 3-0 by the 5th, struggling to get any offense going. Bright spot came from Nick Kurtz, who gets a base hit in the 6th, extending his hitting streak to 14 games. A's lost 3-1. They play again at 7 o'clock tonight, hosting Seattle. Giants hosting one of the worst teams in the league, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Back in the day, Roberto Clemente. Yesterday, despite the record, the Pirates got a solo in the 5th inning, solo homer, bringing them to a 6-5 win. Giants have lost 4 in a row. They'll host Pittsburgh again tonight. Other sports news, all-star pitcher Emmanuel Kleiss has been placed on a non-disciplinary leave as part of sports betting. The second player from Cleveland Indians linked to the probe, and we'll have more on that. This is an ABC 10 morning news update. I'm Walt Gray. A gunman killed 3 people and injured 3 others at the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino in Reno yesterday. An investigation is ongoing. It happened in the Valet area about 7:30 yesterday morning. Police have not released the name of the shooter at this time. They do not believe there's a connection between the gunman and the victims. 2 victims from the Esparto fireworks explosion laid to rest yesterday in Daly City. Investigators have yet to say what exactly led to the explosion that killed 7. Yolo County's Board of Supervisors is calling for the state attorney general to join the investigation. Today, Sacramento city leaders will decide whether or not unhoused people can sleep in front of City Hall. In the past, people have been able and welcome to sleep there. The new restrictions aim to maintain a productive working environment for city employees and to save money. Rob?
Okay, our weather is changing. It's subtle at first, but then it's going to be much more noticeable in the days ahead because the long-lasting stretch of temps with highs in the 80s is over for now, but we're going to return to the 80s, upper 80s for one day tomorrow, and then that's going to be it. So we've got temperatures that have already moved into the 60s, so we're starting to warm up. We're looking at highs in the mid-90s or so. Once you get away from Delta breeze potential, it's upper 90s for Marysville, Yuba City, Colusa, even Roseville, pushing 97, 98, 99. But when you get the Delta breeze kicking in, you're going to start to see temperatures fall into the 80s before sunset and 70s for a couple hours just after sunset. So it's coming, it's on the way, but it's not going to be here till later on this evening. There's our one-day drop in temps back to the 80s, and then we're going into the low 90s, which is very close to normal for this time of year into the weekend. A lot of potential for rising temperatures as we move into next week with highs easily into the mid-90s with potential to get even hotter. So I would watch next week for the heat potentially coming back. In and around Sacramento, folks, this is just prime time for people hitting the roads. I mean, Sacramento's got a very narrow commute time, and it's about now over the next hour or so. And you could clearly see that there's just a lot of cars on the road all through Sacramento. And also Tracy is still slow this morning.
All right, coming up in 1 minute, ABC 10 Plus recap. A look at the headlines you might have missed. At 8:30 in the news now, back to school, from how to save on school supplies to student vaccinations and readjusting to routines. It's a back to school guide for the whole family. At 9, your California Life. After that at 9:30, take a look, a deep dive into the Fantastic Four, First Steps with our Mark S. Allen. What say you?
I'm actually okay with getting back to the 90s. It seems kind of strange, but there's still some summertime stuff, especially outdoors, swimming with the kids that I want to get done before we start to see, the cooler fall temperatures. So I know I shouldn't be saying this as a weather guy, but you know what? 90s for highs in July, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it really could be a whole lot worse than it has been, and it might be again.
Yes.
Beautiful shot. Port of Stockton. Have a great morning. Our next news at 11.